Vidalia, Georgia. I got hot today, y'all. My head was tingling. I did not feel okay. I was coughing. It was like the heat was somehow making me cough and making me like I was going to throw up. In the back of my head was all tingly, and I was just not doing good at all. But the customer that we was at had some compassion on me and brought me these ice pack things to put up under my arms. He said put them under my armpits and cool my heart down. What is he stuck there? I'm gonna go. Shit. So my brain it stopped tingling after I had the ice packs under my arm long enough, and I'm fine now. I don't feel like I'm gonna throw up. I'm not coughing or nothing. But boy, was it hot. And the boss got us in there talking about how good of a job everybody been doing, but dang, I mean, that was nice, but by the time he gets done talking, it's hotter. And we start working with it being real hot. Great job. I'm glad of that. I need to take some time and watch some more of your videos and like a few more of them. But they are well done. A lot of I think I've got enough like videos and stuff I do at work. I want to make more beekeeping videos. Almost 1,000. See, if I could live stream, I know that I pick up subscribers a lot faster live streaming than making my other videos. But it seems like the best times to live stream to pick up subscribers is also the best time to hang out with Brittany. And I just can't do everything. And I really, it's like I want a lot of subscribers so that I have more reach. I can spread certain knowledge to more people. But then at the same time, I don't want too many because I don't really want to lose my, I don't want fame. I don't want to walk somewhere and somebody recognize me. I don't want that. So, but then it's like a double-edged sword. On one hand, I would like to be able to say something to a whole lot of people. And then on the other time, I'd like to be able to just go unnoticed. Hello, hey. It's funny. Yeah. But I'm so glad that the week is over. I'm ready for the weekend. My buddy's going to Florida, I think. I don't know where he's going. He's going to be feeding his ducks and dogs for the weekend. I'm going to take Brittany fishing. Brittany, I don't think she's ever caught a fish before in her life. I'm going to teach her how to fish. I think she said her dad had took her fishing and she got bit by one fire ant and was done when she was a child, and she's ready to give it another go. We gonna go when it cools off some. Early in the morning or in the evening. But yeah, that customer was a lifesaver. I thought I was gonna pass out. And he had some kind of ice pack. He said, put them under your armpits, and that worked. Of course, once I got cooled down more, I put them on my head, on my spinal cord and the sides of my head, and cooled my brain down. I went out there. We took down 2 garage doors today and put up 2 garage doors, and they were so close together that we had to cut the rails and add backhang and do all kind of special stuff to get it to work. Now I was out there putting the trim up on the outside of the building, and the sun was just shining on my black hair. And I have really, really, really thick hair, and my head just got too hot. I went and dumped my head into some cold water, but it wasn't enough. It wasn't. I was still way too hot. I needed that ice on my head. I tell you that it's never really easy to deal with in extreme heat. I think I dealt with it better when I was younger than now. We done had a worker quit over the heat, and I don't blame him really, because he was working in the wood shop in the heat all the time. He never was really getting a break from the heat, which I guess none of us do. When we go up in attics, we have it worse than the gutter guys, but most of the time they have it worse, because most of the time they're on the side of the house and the roof. I used to do that too, and it's rough up there. Your hands will touch them shingles, and they'll be really, really, really hot. And a gutter in the sun can get really hot really fast. I still feel a little bit nauseous from the heat, but I just don't, my brain ain't tingling no more. Also, I'm going to do more of my interview videos, where I interview people but only ask them 1 or 2 questions. Short videos like that. I got any ideas? So you can get getting better at driving with one hand. Got a buddy at work. Well, he's a new guy. I don't know if he's I guess he's a friend. Not really. Like, I get along with him all right. He was talking about that he used to smoke crack. And I'm really glad that he don't anymore. There's a lot of people that don't never get off of it. But you know, if you've ever smoked crack and then you quit crack, it's best not to tell people, because they're going to go ahead and write you off as a potential theft, a thief. They're going to write you off as being like your brain's fried. And really, it is a dumb thing to do. Like, everybody knew better. There's not a single person that ever picked up a crack pipe and was like, yeah, I think this is a good idea. Humans are really weird. You'll be dead set on you're not going to do something. But if you're surrounded by people that are doing it, it makes it easier to do it. I got to quit everything. I done quit everything except weed. And I know it ain't good for my lungs. I didn't notice it for the first 10, 15 years, but now I know I don't have the lung capacity I used to have. I'm gonna quit talking about it though, I guess. I don't know. Bye, you have a good life and everything. I just don't want it yet. I'm starting to want to quit, but not all the way. One thing, when I quit, like, let's say, when I don't do anything, I always do something. Like, I'll start overeating. If I'm not overeating, I'm not doing any drugs, then I start, I don't know, wanting too much sex. I'm always doing something too much. I never get it all the way together. As soon as I quit something, but I've got rid of the most destructive stuff. It's down there. And I don't know, I think everybody needs something. Maybe there's healthier things, but everybody needs something to cope with the stress. And I think that trying to heal pain with pleasure just doesn't work. It's like, it doesn't work, but everybody thinks it works, and everybody keeps trying it. They're like, maybe if I had more pleasure, it'd heal the pain, and it doesn't. And normally short-term pleasure leads to long-term pain a lot of times. Not all the time. I'm just rambling on. I don't know what I'm saying. It might be a little boring today. I not going to turn the camera to these fields or anything. My air conditioner is bipolar. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. It threw a code on a truck and it said that there's a circuit board that needs to be replaced. And I looked it up and it cost $200. And so I've just kind of accepted that my air conditioner randomly works or doesn't work. Sometimes it'll switch to being a heater. And if I turn the truck off and crank it back up, it'll go back to air conditioner. I don't know what causes that. I don't really know a lot about vehicles, which is a shame that I'm 37 and still don't know very much about them. I just have never really been interested. But I should have been interested. I could just save money fixing things myself. Bye. Oh, I already read that one. I already read that. I think I'm caught up with the comments. Let me scroll. Okay, it's always scrolled up. I'm already in Mount Vernon. Well, no, I'm in Ailey, but it's like right in front of Mount Vernon. I'm at the Ailey caution light. I don't know if you ever watch me streaming when I go to work in the morning. That's where I turn to get on the back road. I don't know why I go the main way coming home, but I take the back way going to work, and I don't really know why I do that. I guess it's just when you pull out of all road, it's easy to take the main way and not miss your spot. But when you're going, it's easier to go the back way, landmarker wise. Too hot though. I'm too hot. I'm starting to feel too hot again. I can't just do the fanning. It's too hot. I'm starting to feel like I'm gonna throw up again. Oh, no good at all. I hope I don't throw up from the heat. I'm starting to feel like I'm gonna throw up from the heat. But lucky for me, this helps with nausea. I know. I had some people comment. That was my brother, by the way, with that vape. That wasn't me. I had someone comment, don't vape. I think it was hard, I think. Because people care about you, and I appreciate that. I appreciate people caring about my brother too. You know, when I was a little kid, I was always on to my grandparents' and uncle's case about not smoking. Don't smoke, don't smoke. And then, I don't know if I was 22, 23, somewhere in there. I was playing the guitar and I was writing a song, and I had all the lyrics and I had most of the chords of music, but I was still just stuck in a spot where I didn't know how to do a certain transition. And I was just joking because I had heard about Bob Dylan and the Beatles and just a lot of musicians claiming that drugs helped them artistically or musically or something. And I was just saying, well, maybe if I could get high, and I didn't do anything at the time except drink. Like maybe if I could get high, I'd come up with the rest of this music. And my brother had secretly smoked weed for years, but I didn't know it. And I didn't believe that he did. And he was rolling his own blunt. He was rolling his own cigarettes. And he was putting weed in the front, but in the back, half inch of them or so, he was putting tobacco. That way he would, the little piece at the end that he threw away, he's not wasting his weed. He just got tobacco as a filter. So he'd already smoked out the front of it. The front of it's, the front of it had been lit and the back of it's tobacco. So I didn't believe him that it was marijuana. I thought he was just lying. And he said, hey, this will help you, write the rest of the song or whatever. And I was just proving him wrong. I'm like, I can see the tobacco in the end of it. But like I say, he just put tobacco as a filter. And I smoked it. And I was so stressed out because my truck was stuck in the mud. And I had just given up on trying to get it out. I was playing my guitar, drinking some wine when my brother showed up. And I smoked that weed. And the stress just melted off of me. And I just felt so good. And I smoked it. I tried it on accident to try to prove somebody wrong, to prove that they was lying, that it was really nicotine. And I decided when I started drinking leaving work because I was addicted to alcohol. And I get so much anxiety and nervousness, and my heart would beat all crazy. And I had decided I had to quit drinking. I was not going to be drinking and driving. But it kind of wasn't safe to drive sober because I had so much anxiety and we get the shakes. So I just drank a little bit. So I knew I had a problem. And I had accidentally tried weed, and I used it to deal with the stress of the withdrawals. And I traded one thing for another. And I was naive about it. I thought there was no negative side effects. I thought that it was medicine, the cure for, war. It would lead to world peace. I just thought it was just awesome. And I don't feel that way about it anymore. I just feel like it's another thing to be a slave of. But back in the day, in my 20s, I thought, it'd bring about world peace, cure every sickness. Well, I'll flip the camera a little bit. You see, up ahead, it's raining up ahead. Once I get up there, I'll be driving through the work. Oh, man. So I get that wind blowing over my head, I'm flying. There's a lot of lightning. Brittany's off till 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock. I just don't. Like when I worked and Brittany stayed at home, she was lonely because she'd miss me all day. She had too much idle time on her hands. And I didn't really understand what she was going through, Because I missed her while I was at work, but I was distracted by work. But now that Brittany works, and she works, she's been working at 7 and 8, I just hate it. And I'm not having to deal with it all day. It's between 3 and 4 right now. I'm going to get home. I'm only going to have to wait 3 or 4 hours. Sorry about that, y'all. I'm only going to have to wait 3 or 4 hours before Brittany goes off work. I just miss her so much. I just ain't used to it. I go home, Brittany's there to greet me. The dog's going to come up wagging their tail. Brittany's going to be there on the porch waiting for me. Or at least have the door unlocked and be in the kitchen. Now I just go home, nobody's there. Nobody but me. I guess it'd give me some time to live stream, but man. And I would go, sometimes I'll stop at a restaurant and see her for a little bit. But I just got to get home and get to that tea. Most of the time, I don't think about it because I'm busy with life. But sometimes, I start to miss Brittany's mama because I really didn't know how much I loved her until she died. I knew I loved her, but I just didn't know that I had already gotten that attached to her or that bonded to her. I just didn't know. Part of it was, oh man, I dropped the phone again. Part of it was that she always took my side. I was in the right though. But she would explain to Brittany, where I'm coming from. That look, he works, he's tired. And I already had experience taking care of my grandparents and older people before. And, she was old and she was slow, and it would, Brittany would get kind of impatient. But I was already used to it from Granddaddy and Granny Browning. And I don't want to cry or nothing. Damn. But anyway, I miss Brittany's mama sometimes, Didn't know how much I loved her until she died. feel a wind about to blow this thing off the road. I thought I could talk about some things. I guess I can't talk about it. On the way, it's just sad, because sometimes, just out of nowhere, you kind of forget people are dead. You're like, dang, I ain't seen them in a while. I should go visit them. And then they're dead and you can't. And then I thought she'd live another 10, 15 years, Sometimes I get kind of get tired of going over there all the time, I was like, dang, Brittany, I don't ever see my family. We always see your mama. And everybody in her family is dead except her mama, I thought for sure her mama would live 20 more years or something, Now I just wish, we went and saw her all the time, we did. But I don't know why I keep trying to talk about it. I'm just not going to talk about it. Talk about something else. But when you do love people, you get attached to them, and you have memories of them, it's kind of like they're still alive. It's kind of, sometimes you'll forget that they're gone. Sometimes you'll feel like going and visiting them, and you can't. And her mama would help everybody, even people she shouldn't help. People that would steal from her, she'd still let them stay with her and they'd steal from her. And she would know that they were stealing from her. If there was bad weather or something, she'd let them in. And I wish that we could have moved her in or found a place that we could afford. I wish that in those last days of her life, I wish that I could have protected her more from the people that used her. I wish we could have protected her more. Because she had a lot of empathy. She had a heart for everybody. And there was a lot of bad people that would just steal from her. And it's bad that people will be that way. That an old lady is struggling just to get by. People will steal her food, steal her soap and shampoo, steal her medicine. We about in Alamo. Almost in Alamo. That rain didn't last very long. One day. That's the thing about getting too many subscribers. I get too many subscribers, it'll take away my freedom. The fucking, excuse my language, the police will be watching my live stream. So EPA watching my live stream. I just like to kind of get my opinions out there. It's like I don't think it really changes the world. It's just kind of like taking a shit. Just like get it out, you know. Nobody really has to hear it. Maybe nobody wants to hear it, but it's just getting opinions out, like taking a shit. And it's hard to give anybody good advice because you don't really know who they are and you don't really know their story. Because when people give you their problems, they don't give you all the good times. There's no need to talk about it when it's good. So people will form very skewed, unreal perspectives of the characters in people's stories. Because people will tell you, I'm dealing with this person and they did this, and that. And it's a problem. But they're not going to come to you and tell you, oh yeah, we had a lot of good days together. Oh yeah, they did a lot for me and I didn't do shit for them. They don't tell you that. They just tell you. And so then people start giving bad advice. They'll start saying, but dang, I think you should just be done with that toxic person. They do bad stuff. Because they're only hearing that person when they come to complain. So it's hard to give good advice because people are always giving you a biased perspective that makes them sound like the one that's in the right. And their real goal is not to get perfect advice. Their real goal is to get validation. They're looking for someone to tell them that it's okay for them to do what they already want to do. That's how most people are when they come to advice. So that's why I don't really like to give advice, because even if I think I'm giving good advice, I don't know that I am. Because they might not really be telling me the truth of the characters in their story because they're trying to make themselves sound good. And so, and then when you get people's opinions and you poll people, you don't really know who knows about the subject and who doesn't know about the subject. You know, 100 people voting, if 99 of them don't know what they're talking about, their vote isn't really, it doesn't really matter, So before you can even give good advice, so much background information that it's almost impossible to give good advice for that reason alone. And people are going to do what they want to do regardless. So why give the advice? But I've never got my feelings hurt when people don't take my advice. I only get upset when they call me crazy 10 years later. They saying the same things I was saying, and they know that I'm right, but I never get I'm sorry, I'm just crazy for the next thing that I'm 10 years ahead of. I get upset about that. But I've had friends that I don't take their advice, and then they're really hurt. They wanted me to take their advice and validate that their advice was right. But sometimes, like, I had some old people in the past. Their advice was that I needed to go into debt and buy a house, and I really didn't. My uncle was letting my family live in the house until we bought it, before we even bought it, and then my family bought it, and I didn't really need to move at the time. I needed to put my money into buying fruit trees and developing the land, and there was no urgent need to move. But they wanted me out of the neighborhood that I was in. They didn't want me having the friends that I had. They really wanted to control my life a lot, and I knew what I wanted in my life and what I didn't. And they pay me to work. They're not the boss of my life. And they asked a lot of personal questions, and over the years they pried a lot. And there's really an imbalance of power because, the kind of people that, they'll get offended if you don't take their advice. They might take it personal and it might affect your job. So you have to kind of like say as little as you can say, but not say anything to where they're offended, and it's tricky. And after 8 years' time, it's just too much. It was for me anyway. But I didn't take their advice, but I knew what I was doing. Because look at how it's set up now. The trees, they're all. The best time to plant a tree is years ago or now. So I'm glad that I planted the trees then. I'm not planting them now. I'm glad that I have the water and can water them. I have a house now. I'm living now. I got a roof above my house. And I got a building. It's insulated. It's got wire. We're working to get there, And it's just, I knew the timing. And my boss didn't know the timing. And I think they thought that I just wasn't doing anything. You know, they didn't know how much I was doing with the bees or the chickens or side hustles they didn't know about. Or, you know, and then my relationships too. You know, I didn't have sex till I was 28 years old. I started off as a very shy introvert and moved into being more. I'm just not shy, but I'm still an introvert. I'm still, if I'm at a party, too many people, too long, I'm going to need a long time to recharge. I'm just not shy anymore. But I had a totally different worldview in my 20s. I mean, I went to school to be a preacher, and a lot of people can't believe that now because I cuss like a sailor, and what I believe is a lot more I don't know now. And then the beliefs that I have, I'm a lot more, those beliefs have been tested a lot. And I believe them a lot more, the things that I know. And I can trust myself more than I could in my 20s. I couldn't really trust myself. In my 20s, I miss my memory of my 20s, but I don't need it. Because I might not remember what I've done, but I know myself so I can find what I've lost. I'm like, well, I would have done that. I would have done this. I would have said it here. You know, so. But I had to learn a lot of skills in my 20s that I could use in my 30s. And I had worked while I was in school. I had done college while I was working. I had went to school to be a preacher while I was in high school at Thursday nights. I had done a lot of grind in my early 20s. I read the encyclopedia, the academic international encyclopedia. I had studied all the time. I was not really trying to have friends too much and not really trying to have relationships too much. I was just studying. And then after a while, knowledge is useless if it isn't applied. It's never really useless. When people say that's useless knowledge, that'd be like saying you have useless tools. You never know. You might need that tool one day. And just like how tools greatly increased your ability, a bare-naked human is not the same thing as a human with all these tools. Gun, chainsaw, car, wrenches, screwdrivers, drill. You become like super, super, super leveled up if you've got time to craft your tools. And knowledge is a tool. You don't know. And it might not be that you ever, just your speech craft. If you know a little bit about every subject, then you can find common ground with almost anyone. So it comes in handy later. But if you're only studying and only knowledge, your only thoughts will be of thoughts. You got to live in the real world too. You don't need to only be in the digital world or only be in your head. You need to be using that knowledge and doing things in the real world. Because, and I don't speak for women, but I speak for men. If you want to be happy, you have to be achieving goals. You have to be always in that pursuit of being productive and doing useful things for humanity. You have to. It's what you're born to do. You're not going to be happy, idle time, not doing nothing, not making anything better for anybody else. And you're not going to be happy without responsibility, believe it or not. You're going to need the responsibility. That would break a child, that would be too much stress for a woman, that would be too much of a burden, is your crown, is what will make you happy. You need to be responsible for other people, and you need to come through for them, and you need to develop and increase. You just need to do it, and you'll be happy. I don't feel too hot no more. Cooled down. The air conditioner come on, and I had the windows going. The clouds come over and shaded things. And see, the timing is perfect. They're building them solar panels over here. That's gonna mess with the local weather over here, and I'm moving just in time. They clear cut all them woods right there. It's gonna make it hot. I'm moving just in time. My neighbors over there on my property in Alamo, they clear cut every bit of timber on their property. I'm glad. I wish they hadn't done it, but it's theirs to do. But I'm glad I didn't do that to mine, because the wind that blows up on me, it goes in the shade first and cools down. They're going to be hot over there. And I dug, and they said I was crazy, and I was. I dug and dug and dug and dug and dug for, 2 years? Not that I was working the whole 2 years time, but when I'd catch time to do it, dug in that trench. I moved so much dirt, and I put the dirt right in front, and it pressed down and is denser with the weight. So you don't even notice all the work that is done there. But that's quite a little engineering feat there to do with just hand tools and my bare hands to funnel all that water on that channel and to build. I built an artificial creek. It wasn't there, and now it is. And I took a pond. It was a temporary water pool that every year it dried up in the summer, and it would never hold water in the summer. It'd be all the way dry and hard. And then there would be certain times in spring, maybe in the fall, it would fill up with water temporarily. And I dug the middle out, and it was like a shallow depression. It was like a maybe 3-inch shallow depression. And the clay there it's really good quality red clay, but it was hard clay. Like this clay was wanting to turn into a rock. And I'm saying like a shallow depression of maybe about 3 inches. And I went to the center of it, and I dug probably 5 foot by 5 foot down, probably 3 foot. That was a lot of dirt that come out that hole when it fluffed up. And I put it on the lowest side of that temporary water hole. And after I done that, there was that deep part of water that could keep. Oh, the power's out at my house. I gotta put some money on the power bill. It made a large body of water in the middle of that puddle that was cool enough that the water didn't like get hot and evaporate as fast. And then since that lowest side had been built up by that dirt, the water level could rise up higher and hold more water. And that led to it being a permanent pond. So it went from, a temporary flooded area to a permanent pond. And then it's shallow. Like I'm saying, I just dug out the middle. The outside edges are all really, really shallow. So it's really easy for deer to go there and drink water. And all the deer that used to like come up into the woods for shade to be cool on both sides of the woods, since they cut about 7 acres of trees on the other side of my trees, all those animals have moved in to my forest. And so this has caused a slight overcrowding issue. And I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go, you know how people make birdhouses? I'm going to help these animals out. I'm going to make some little raccoon houses, some little possum houses. Wade's probably saying, sit traps. Hey, you might be able to have a really good place to set a trap. But I think I'm going to go, since a lot of trees got cut down, a lot of, woodpecker habitat lost, raccoon, crow. The crows used to hang out on the far side. This has brought the crows closer to me, because the crows like to be at the edge of the tree line in the woods, because it seems like the crows around Glenwood and Alamo and McRae, that they talk to each other, and that they're like they're like on top of the Alamo water tower. Sometimes they all meet there, and I mean all of them, like a shit ton of them. But there's always like a few there, and they come back, and I swear they like go and they tell their elders information, and they know people, and they know, but they like to be where they can get to that point. But they like to come down into the wet parts of my woods and try to catch bullfrogs. I've never seen the crows successfully catch a bullfrog, but they at least try. And they like to catch some little mosquito fish. And they just like to go around there and eat and hang out. And if it ever gets muddy, they like to play in the mud. Like they dance around in the mud. You'll see the crows' footprints like in a circles, and they just been dancing around. And I think they just like the feel of the mud on their feet or something. I don't know, because I don't see any peck marks like they're eating anything. It's just like they're running around in it. Maybe the mud cools them down. I don't know. But since 7 acres of woods got cut down and they would like to be in the edge of that tree line facing that water tower, that's moved them closer to me. Because there's another gathering place. It's not as big of a gathering, but there's a place where they gather on that edge of that tree line. And I like this because it's one of the things on my bucket list is to befriend a crow. That's on my list. I'm not having I'll be friends with raccoons and foxes, but they're not in my house. Never again. Like, I never held any of them captive, but I'll let some come in the house, try to be friends with them. No, never again. I'm telling you, the last thing you want in your house is an adult raccoon. No. You think toddlers are bad? You think having 4 children that are toddlers in your house with no discipline's bad? Try having a raccoon. You do not want it. When they're a baby, yeah, maybe. But when they grow up, no, you do not want that. That raccoon will get into everything. And if that raccoon gets his hands on some rice or some beans, he just loves playing with that. A raccoon also, if they get like a crayon or a candle or any wax, they love the feel of wax. Like, they'll rub wax on their hands like this, like obsessively, like to the max, obsessively. I think let me get my lights cut back on. I don't know if it's to reconnect. I'm gonna end this and start a new one because it'll be easier to just call instead of calling in the